each category race against each other out on course here today. We're jumping right into the racing here. We got the women's race here to begin with, all ladies only, with the D category, C category, as well as B and A category, all racing against each other out on Zwift today. If you're unfamiliar with handicap racing and what it's all about, this is a situation where the riders of each ability get a little bit of a head start for those that are slower or have a lower watts per kilogram, lower power that they can put out compared to some of the other categories, and they get a head start in order to be able to compete against all of the other categories. So the D category goes out, then the C category, then the B category, and then the A. As you can see here in the lower left-hand corner, you can see what the lead group is currently sitting at here, 0.3 kilometers into the race. We'll start seeing the race times, or the times between each one of the categories in just a moment as they do get started out on course. We do have the C category sitting in the pens currently here as we are following one of the riders out here. It does look like Vixen is out there as well as Revo and a few others jumping into here. 1:36 is the time to the start of their race. As they do get ready to get underway, they're going to be working together to make sure that they can chase down that D category and try and take the win. So as far as the racing goes, each and every category out here can win the race out here today. So with 112 to get going here, you can see that the C's are lined up, ready to chase down these D's. It is going to be a little bit of a gap here, looking for the D rider leading things out with 11 seconds, actually, at 3.1 watts per kilogram on the right-hand side of the screen here. You're going to see what their watts per kilogram they're able to currently hold. That is in conjunction with the watts that are in the upper left-hand corner that are the live wattages that we're seeing coming from these riders currently. 77 RPMs right now and 155 beats per minute is coming from Kiwi Chick. T. Andrews right on the wheel there, it looks like. About an 8-second gap back to the chasers right now. Now, this category is going to be struggling today, though, if they keep this kind of a split and these riders are not able to hold on to this, what looks to be well over category limits for a few of them. Well, maybe not well over. And that's one of the situations with the chop, is that the riders at the very front of the pack are going to be going a little bit over their category limits as they look to try and keep the speed as high as they possibly can. We do see S. Moss as well as Roman and Gaudry there with the verified badge looking to close things down pretty quickly here. Let's go ahead and jump back in, though, with the C's. We're looking at L. Atkinson from the NTR race looking to jump off the line here in this women's only race. It is now going to be updating pretty soon here for what the distances are between each of the groups in just a moment. C category here with 25 riders. So we do head forward. It does look like a little bit of a gap starting to form here for the racers, as it is going to be QT Cat here from Revo as well as Overmo. As always, the racers here do still need to try and hang on with the fast starts out in Zwift. They're usually not quite as fast in the chop racing because the categories do try to work together in order to kind of create a team time trial type situation here. Cutie Cat here from Revo as well as Overmo and Kay Williams. We're seeing S. Strange. All Revo riders looking to get into a team time trial, it looks like now. And as I was saying earlier, each one of the categories, they are set up based on what they can do for functional threshold power, what kind of power they can hold for about 1 hour straight. And the riders here are going a little bit over that limit at the start of this race here because usually they are fast, but also at the front end of this pack here, like I was saying earlier, they are going to be over their threshold in order to keep that speed as high as possible and then sitting in under threshold. If anybody's ever done any over-unders in their training, they'll understand exactly what we're talking about there. The riders are going to be doing a little bit over their ability for the duration of 1 hour or so. So at the front end of the C categories, you can see Jay Burns now just taking over at 1.6. Now backing off a little bit, most likely because it was just for the catch that speed was coming on. But then you can see 4.2 from Cutie Cat here at the front for Rebo. That's going to be about a watt per kilogram higher than what the C categories are, usually around 2.5 to 3.2. But then as she sits in, you can see Cutie Cat then going back down to about that 2.5 to 3.2. So exactly what we're expecting from the work here being done by this C cat. Now a little ways back, though, we do see B Dykes here leading things out in a chase in this C category. A little bit of infighting here, actually, amongst the ladies only race for the chop racing, as we do see the distances now covered by each one of the, the distance covered currently by the D category at the front, who are the current race leaders. So like in a scratch race, there is the current race leader. It's just they get that head start in the other categories, then battle it out to chase them down. So it is a 3.6 kilometers completed currently with the D categories. They are heading on into Trafalgar Square here, actually. As we jump back on over with them, is going to be Andrews, then Kiwi Chick. They're trying to jump back onto the wheel there of Andrews. It's about a 2-second gap that's being opened up. It looks like T. Andrews here maybe trying to just walk away with this altogether. As there is a group a little ways behind for me with Kiwi Chick, Catlin, as well as Moss and Gaudry. Roman there as well as Pebblebrook as they complete their 4th kilometer out on course here. Race distance is going to be 28 kilometers that they have to go here. The lead group here, the C group, 1.7 kilometers completed. The B group just getting out on course. They've completed about a half a kilometer so far. And you can see the time gaps as well between each one of the categories at the bottom of the screen here, with a 5:46 up to that D group for the B category, and for the C category, a 3:36 up to that lead group there, actually. So it does look like the C category is starting to get a little bit organized. This is a chase group still. 25 in this cat. Now, in just a little bit, we are going to have an open race. The ladies only starts 7 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time USA, or North America. And there's going to be in about 40 minutes, a little less than 40 minutes, starting at 7:45 GMT and 7:45 Central Standard Time North America. There will be the open race, which is open to everybody. And so you can jump on into there. You still have time to do so. I think there were well over 300 riders that were signed up for that race in just about 40 minutes or so. So make sure to jump on, get your bid-ons ready, start get maybe even a little bit of extra energy into the body and get ready, because it is an all-out threshold effort. Absolutely. These riders are giving everything they can to get the category that they are in across the finish line first. And last week we saw some pretty amazing racing, actually, between the ladies as well as the open category. It was pretty awesome to see when the C and the D category came right to the line, actually, with the B's, with the B's within, I think it was 30 seconds as well. It was amazing racing to see, and that's when chop racing is at its best. All of the categories battling it out, coming right to the line. And when it's timed almost perfectly, where they're all almost in a sprint-type effort, it really pushes each one of the riders to the limit. And that's one of the coolest things about the chop, is that usually in these races, it is an everything you got kind of effort, as well as a very tactical effort at the same time. It's something that you get the best of both worlds with. A lot of times in a scratch race, it's very tactical. You're waiting for the right moment to attack. It's much more of an all-in VO2 max or 1 minute to 2 minute effort that makes the race. In these races, it's more of an over-unders into an all-out sprint, which is pretty much putting everything on the line. If you've ever been involved in a team time trial, it's like that, except at the end, you have to fight your team. And so it's a little bit of that scratch race sprint reality mixed in with team time trial, and I think it's one of the best workouts you can possibly get. And the coolest thing about it, each one of the categories can win. So a lot of times we're in here with the esports world of Zwift, broadcasting a lot of the A category elite races. Well, right now this is a situation where everybody can be an elite racer, as far as getting to the finish line first and getting on the podium, beating out the A category or the B categories in that D and C category. We've actually seen that this past week with the way things have been playing out, which was really cool to see. So now, also a quick little announcement too. Those who helped create the Lamb Chop out on Zwift here was HDR and the Aussie Hump Day ride. Recently, there was an announcement that the America's Hump Day ride is now going to be happening as well as on Wednesdays. So make sure to be watching out for that. I believe it is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that that's the time that it will be at. So that is going to be launched, I believe it is next week. So jump on out onto the America's Hump Day ride as well. So I have a feeling, Aussie Hump Day ride, one of the largest weekly group rides that has been going on out on Zwift for years now. It has helped to create the Chop and Lamb Chop series actually, and helps support with the setup of it. And so probably get a lot of chatter on there, almost as a warm-up ride on Wednesdays for the racing between the categories here on Thursday evening. So pretty cool to see. Also, there is the North America's ride. If you're unfamiliar with that, the North America's Lamb Chop is happening. So same time, except for with the American time zone. So 7 p.m. and 7:45. That is going on for the Americas. So now Kay Williams here. Revo has really shown up in this C category. The distance between them and the lead group here has come down a little bit now. If we look at the average watts per kilogram, as always, we will be using ZwiftPower.com in order to follow along with all of the stats for the Lamb Chop out here today. And if you haven't checked that out already, make sure to head on over to ZwiftPower.com. If you want to share your Zwift information with that website, it will be able to track all of your results for the day. As far as who's showing up on the day here in the A category, it does look like we've got some pretty big hitters here with Vicky Nealon from the Brat Pack, as well as Becca Ward and Tina Grobler there from the Revo team. Olivia Barrow there from Turbo. Team Turbo, haven't seen them out in course in a little while here. Good to see Turbo here jumping back out into the race scene. We've also got a pretty big contingent of B category. I think the A category may be struggling a little bit here. As far as ZwiftPower.com is concerned, I can see about 6 in the A category. The B category with quite a few, though. And then the C category, the other larger cat here out on course. So interesting to see what the numbers are going to do to bring these cats into the final stretch here, whether or not they're going to be in the lead. 3:23 here between the C categories. They chase down the D's here out on course. Getting a little bit of leg here on the canvas here for just a minute. We'll see if we can jump in with the B's here in a second, though, as they've jumped out on course. Does it look like there's a solid split, though, in the C category at this point. If you do not hang on, they are not going to be waiting for you. As we do see, it is going to be A King off the back here. Atkinson, it looks like, off the back as well. She was leading things out for a little while for that C category, but now finding herself off the back with Sigana, Cryogen, as well as Eldred from Revo, and Wog here coming from Revo as well. So back in with the leaders here for the C category. And it looks like still strong contingent of about 20-plus riders. They're going to take this little U-turn. Interesting place out on course here for the riders, as this section can be a section that a lot of times in scratch racing you can try and make a break. The Ravatars naturally slow down as they do this 180-degree U-turn. And then you can jump out of the corner there with some speed, actually. So it does look like they're keeping it pretty consistent, though. Nobody looking to make any jumps and breaks at this point. That's going to be expected, though, with 4 laps of the London Classic, 28 kilometers on the race day here. 8 kilometers finished so far for the front of the race right now with that D category. It does look like Kiwi Chick as well as Catlin still taking over at the front. It is the lead group of 5 in the D category right now. If we can jump, we're going to jump on over to them. They are climbing back into Trafalgar Square on that Whitehall climb. 5% uphill gradient. If you're unfamiliar with Zwift, you can see exactly what's going on with these riders' current wattage as well as the RPMs. The rider currently we're looking at here, Catlin, does not have a heart rate monitor on, actually, but Roman, or a few of the others there behind her, perhaps do. But as you can see, the current gradient they're experiencing, as well as where they are out on the map in the upper right-hand corner of the screen right now. So as they head back into Trafalgar Square, we're seeing Catlin as well as Roman and Kiwi Chick dropping off just a little bit, 3 seconds back there for S. Moss. Going to have to try and work together, though, as the C category is closing things down a few seconds at a time, though. It does look like this D category has quite the gap here still and is holding on fairly well to the gap that they got it right off the bat. So interesting to see as the C-Cat continues to try and pull things back here. Still at 303 here, and this is interesting because last week we saw a very different situation where the C category closed things down a lot quicker than what we're seeing right now. And McCoy here, TFC as you're seeing, as well as S-Cal from Revo, and Williams there from Revo at the front. Looks like Revo really showing up. Cool to see as these riders seem to be focusing in on this racing series specifically. That is Revolution Velo Riders, if you're wondering what the acronym is standing for. And if you're unfamiliar with teams out on Zwift, you can go ahead and find a team. ZwiftPower.com is a great place to go and find who is recruiting or creating your own team. You know, in the stats for ZwiftPower.com, you can head down over there and do so. As all of the tracking for a lot of the, well, not all of the tracking, but most of the tracking for these teams is going down over there. And it does look like they've got a solid contingent of riders actually hanging out for Revo at the front end of this race, as well as over in the results over at Zwift Power here. So in the C categories, we do look at Revo. It does look like they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 riders actually that have shown up on the day. Team Cryogen is also out there with Alexa Forbes as well as Angela Stigana. It's going to be Anna Mike Sear and then Zara Burns, all for riding for Cryogen. Mandy McCoy, that's the TFC rider that we're seeing in there as well. They're hammering away, it looks like, according to the live results right now. You also are able to see in the live results at the top of ZwiftPower.com a map, little mini map that shows where each one of the cats are out on course. But to hang in with the C category so far, it is going to be about a 2.9, 3.1 watts per kilogram or so at the upper end. Catherine Salvatierra there for Revo, looks like she's leading the pack there with a 3.5 so far. Now a little bit of a kick, though, toward the front. We're going to see if they can stick together. You know, if somebody can't come over the top too strongly, though, and they aren't putting the work in at the front, this may be a point in the race where they do want to start to create a little bit of a chop, and that's what this is all about. At what point are the riders that you are riding with no longer adding anything to the group, because it's all about chasing down the group that is ahead and then winning it outright against the other categories. So with that being said, you do see a few off the back here now at this point, with, it looks like Royfold now biting the dust. McCoy from TFC, we were talking about the Friday Criterium rider just a moment ago, trying to jump back on terms with the race here. 2.7 watts per kilogram average so far, so maybe on the lower end of the category. And we'll see if she can give a little bit of a dig to get back onto the wheel there. Westergaard looks like she's going to be able to close down that gap. And now heading straight to the front as she carries that speed on through. Just maybe grabbing onto the wheels here. We are seeing McCoy. That was quite the effort, because it was almost said and done for her for the rest of the race. Again, it is a 26-kilometer race. We are almost at the halfway point here for the lead group with the Ds. They are back in over toward the Buckingham Palace here in just a moment, as we are seeing the gap here at about 2 kilometers or so between this D group that we are seeing here. It is still 5 riders on the front here. S. Moss here, 2.7, as you can see. 152 beats per minute currently. Gaudry there with the verified badge, and Catton there coming out of Switzerland, sitting in as well. So 5 riders at the front of the D. They're working well together here at this point, within those category limits as well too. So solid ride so far from them. C-Cat again. We're gonna see if we can jump in with the Bs in just a moment here, if we can find the feed here out on course, as the C category riders are working very well together. As you can see, it is only a 341 gap here at the bottom, and then a 458 between the A's and the D's to the front. So as far as the time gaps at the bottom of the screen there, you are seeing exactly what the time gap is to the front of the race for that D category that are in the salmon kits. Black kits here for the C's, and then the light blue for the B category. The A category obviously in the gray kit. All these kits are being provided by Black Sheep, the partner of the handicap racing out here. They are a cycling apparel brand based out of Brisbane, Australia, and we did run a series just like this for the Southern Hemisphere. It was pretty awesome. It had some huge participation, actually, and was extremely popular. And that's actually where the ideas of chop racing came from, was from the Australian and Southern Hemisphere riders out on Zwift. And with it being so successful, we are now having a European and North American editions of the races. And again, one of the coolest things about that is that anybody can take a win out here. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering what is going on with, why do we see each one of these groups at the bottom? What is the situation here? Why is there a lead group of Ds? What is the signification of each one of those categories? It is because anybody can win. The D category, C category, B category, A category. If you're unfamiliar with Zwift racing and how that works, or riding, and when you log into the game, you're like, why is there an A category and D category? What do these categories even mean? Well, the D category for your functional threshold power, if you're going to jump into a category for an event or a race or a group workout or something along those lines, the D category is for riders that can hold 2.5 watts per kilogram or less. What's watts per kilogram, you might be wondering? Well, it is how many watts you can produce for about 1 hour straight. Well, watts per kilogram, how many watts you're producing currently. As you can see in the upper left-hand corner, 186 divided by your weight in kilograms. That's going to be your watts per kilogram. You can see for McCoy right now, 2.7 on the right, and that's live watts per kilogram. But the 2.5 watts per kilogram or less for the D category, that is based on your functional threshold power. How long can you hold that wattage? For 1 hour, essentially. So, you know, the best you can possibly do for that 1 hour then, it's going to be your functional threshold power, and that's going to be the category you're going to be jumping into. E's 2.5 or less, C's 2.5 to 3.2. That's who we're looking at right now. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, that is what we are seeing mostly from these riders, right around that 2.5 to 3.2. They're going to be doing that consistently all the way through, putting out everything they possibly can to chase down those A's on the front. These are all real riders. If you're wondering, why am I looking at avatars on a screen? Well, obviously, they are real avatars, digital pixels on a screen, but these are all representations of people in real life that are actually pedaling out the power we are currently seeing. McCoy here, Kay Williams, Bowen Frankenheim coming out of Germany as well. All those country flags representing where those riders are at in the world, putting out this effort in order to power these avatars forward at the heart rates you're seeing, as well as the wattages you're seeing in the upper left-hand corner as they head their way around the London Classic course. We're out here hammering away on the London Classic course, heading past Buckingham Palace right now, and each lap they are going to be completing about 5 kilometers or so. They've got little over 10 kilometers to go for that lead group for the D's right now, as they head along at a 1% uphill grade. There's going to be a little kick here in just a moment before they head back through the Whitehall, and then on over into Trafalgar Square again, and underneath the 1K to go banner. They're going to go underneath that banner a few more times, as it is going to be 4 laps out here. According to ZwiftPower.com, we do still have about 1, 2, 3 laps to go out on course. About 2.5 laps to go, actually, out on course between each one of these riders. So let's see if we can jump back in with the D-Cat as they are just heading over the single climb out on course, as Catton here out of Switzerland gets a little bit of gap over Gaudry. It's going to be Roman there as well. Kiwi Chick just trying to hang on, from what we can see, to that group. And as they do so, we're going to see if we can jump in with some of the other categories here out on course. As it looks like the group of the B's here, 253, 413 there for the A's as they look to chase things down. That's a solid gap that's been closed down by that A category. They had an 8-minute gap, I believe, between them. That's now been totally almost cut in half here at this point. I think the D cat are going to have their work cut out for them to try and bring things back together here. So looking through, though, the C cat, see if we can find a few of the stories that are out here out on the world of Zwift here. Always cool to see the riders and their history of their racing, what they've been up to recently, and whether or not that's going to have any impact on the results in the race out there today. Carla Williams from Revo in amongst this lead group right here. Level 38 Zwifter, it looks like. We'll see if it look, as well as N. Williams out here, also from Revo. Interesting to see perhaps some relation there. Recently been able to do in the Flock and Roll Shepherd PBR TBR race here. Looks like, as well as some of the cryogen races, final table race series. Always cool to see what the races are up there in the background. 317 races actually in the C category for Williams, as Carla Williams hammers it out here. And Williams here, though, we're looking at maybe some relation here, also riding for Team Revo out on course, as Natasha Williams looks to, and it's actually coming from another country, though. Natasha here coming out of Australia, hammering away, as she just looks to hang on 192 beats per minute as they head through this single climb out on course. Level 50 Zwifter, actually, so extremely experienced. Natasha here with 542 races actually out on Zwift. 190 to 99 beats per minute right now. Natasha is absolutely demolishing herself, it looks like, to hang on to this pack, using, it looks like, that aero power-up perhaps to try and make sure that she does not get dropped off here at this point. That does reduce the drag on the avatar. So there is a CDA on the avatar, a drag that is on the on them that natural to the game. It's not like wind, as wind can change, unless it is like a consistent wind that's always on all of the avatars at the front of at their the frontal space of there, in order to slow them down from the watts that they are currently producing. Right? It isn't just like being in space where there's just no resistance whatsoever. And so that aero power-up that you saw used there does reduce the drag on that avatar and makes it so that the avatar speeds up significantly there. And as you did see that use from Natasha, they're able to bring her forward as she gets back into the pack there, and looked like a little bit of bother. Does drop that heart rate down about 15 beats, it looks like, as she was almost up into 200 beats per minute there. Now making her way back to the front with Kay Williams as well as Natasha Williams there for that Team Revo. Team Revo, I think, really in control of this race at this point, but the B category is coming on pretty quickly, and they are only, it looks like, from what I can see, 20 seconds perhaps back from this main pack actually in the C category right now. So interesting to see. We'll see if we can get them out on course here. I think between the categories there may have been a setting that has made some of the categories disappear from each other here at this point. So we'll see if we can catch the B category out on course here, as they're definitely out there. We are seeing a lone rider there. It looks like D. Franny from the BZR team there. 144 back from this main C category group. But nothing from the Bs here from we can see out on course in the feed here right now. So we'll see if we can grab them in just a moment. But perhaps one of the settings there in the background of this event specifically, keeping them from being out on course right now. So B Dykes here, though, 16.5 we can see. Kilometers completed. They've got about 10 to go in this C category. D category, a little less than 10 to go here between Catton as well as Moss. Kiwi Chick there with T. Gaudry now as well as Roman. Still all in the lead of the D-Cat as they head around toward the one lap to go in just a moment here. Cat here, 2.7. As you can see, they still got a solid gap, 157, but I think the C-Cat's really starting to ramp things up here, as well as that B category. B category only 10 seconds behind at this point. Interesting to see. As I believe, B category may be the favorites out there, but A's with only 315 between them at the bottom here. I mean, with still 10K to go for them, they've got a lot to close down, but they've really put the work in so far. And the A category may be able to make this happen. You know, with a little flatter course, it's interesting to see here. I mean, on the Volcano last week, they weren't able to do so. They've got less riders as well, but it does look like the A category is shutting things down very quickly. It's only been about a lap and a half, and you know, they've covered a solid maybe 5 kilometers since they were out at that 5-minute mark or so. So A category hammered away solidly now. Dykes here now, as we're seeing, 3.0 toward the back in the C's now, still sticking together. Strange, Burns, DDC here, Williams from Revo now back in with the D's as they lead things out. 150 up, and as you can see, the difference between, this is when the chop really starts to get a little bit more interesting, because you start to see very similar sections of course to what the other riders are on over and over again. So, you know, the D category, you can see where they're at. They're heading past the Palace here right now. The C category, they're just about to do the 180 turn here off the mile. Cool to see what the race distances are. It is only about a half a K, maybe a little over half a K between them at this point. As you can see, the race distances between them at the bottom of the screen. The B category are right behind these C's here at this point. There they are. We got them in screen. Now, we're not gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be a difficulty to select the riders as they do come by in that B category, but they are definitely there. And as they come up on this C's here, I believe the B category may actually be the favorites out on course, but there's only 1 minute between them and the A's as they look to chase things down. Zwift.com can help us out a little bit, though, as they're going to be giving us the live results as it looks like Annabelle Cox here leading things out for the BRT Hellcats for that category here. 3.6 watts per kilogram coming from them. Scott there at 3.2. Ing Johnson as well as straight Daniela there as well. So they've been hammered away. Their watts per kilogram are going to be between 3.2 and 4.0 for that B category. And it does look like the Bs are going to be able to overtake this C category before the finish of the race here with a lap and a half to go still. And this is going to be all about the C's just being able to hang on as they head back on over toward the climb, because as they do get caught, it's going to be about whether or not they've put out too much energy to hang on. Usually, the B cat and A cat, when they make the chase and they make the juncture up to those other categories, are able to drop them off pretty quick. Now, between the B's and the A's, there might not be quite as much of a difference, and somebody, a lot of times in that B category, might have a sprint and just right on the edge of the ability to hang on to wheels of the A cat as they come through. But the question is whether or not that A category is going to be able to make that chase down. The B cat now making the official catch here. As you can see, they're heading on forward into the square here just a second. Hopefully we can jump in with them and grab their point of view, as it looks like the B category is going to be taking over the race in this event. Now as they do head forward here, Kay Williams now jumping on to the wheel here, and this is what we were talking about. Will the C category be able to make things happen now and hang on to the wheels here? Hopefully we can jump in with these Bs, though. It does look like on the feed coming in here, we do have them on this this feed over here, so good to see. We'll be able to catch them as we are seeing late. It looks like a Cox there, and Annabelle Cox, as well as Daniela Clayton and C. Scott from Z Sun are there as well, all hammered away on the right-hand side of the screen there. So with about it looks like 134 gap between them, the riders now for the B category looking to close things down. 1 kilometer between them. And C-Cat, though, it looks like dusted here at this point. But Kay Williams here looking to hang in. Good to see that they're going to keep it. Actually, big shout-out to the C category rider as she's keeping us in the feed with the Bs now. We'll see how things play out between them here. Madsen here, Strange, as well as Cutie Cat, all Revo riders working well together at the back end. And good to see that these riders are doing so. And the riders, though, that are unable to make the junction, it's going to be Burns, Dykes, Siri, as well as and Williams off the back here. So it's going to be Kay Williams, Madsen, Savatier, Cutie Cat. Now with the power-ups, though, this is really going to break things apart here at this point. Toward the front here of the B category, here it is. And it's going to be MJ, Scott Z. Sun there, Angmo, all on the attack now at this point. John Jansen there from KRT, starting to open things up. The B category officially taking over the front end of the race here in this handicap racing now, it looks like. And it's, well, excuse me, officially taking over, not officially taking over the front of the race, but taking over the C's now at this point and looking to take over the front of the race. As you can see in the bottom of the screen there, about 0.7. They're shutting it down very quickly. It's going to be 1 lap to go. And again, the organizers really doing a great job setting this race up, giving us a very tight race between them, using the laps and the distances so well. As you can see here, it is only 125. The B category, you're going to have to really ramp things up. Daniela there, 4.9 watts per kilogram at the front, as you can see. Clayton's there as well. Dowling from AHDR. MJ, Furzon there as well. So B category hammering away. And it is 0.7 kilometers here to the front of the race here at this point. So Daniela now, as you can see, 5.1 watts per kilogram, making her way to the front. 105, really ramping up those RPMs, 162 beats per minute. And they're going to have to keep on doing this. They're going to have to work well together, no infighting, no resting up. If somebody's not on the front driving the pace up into that 4+ watts per kilogram, they're going to have to do so in order to close this down. 111, they've been dropping about a minute per lap, but with only one lap to go or so, it's going to be right to the line. Now, so BRT Hellcats now, 2.7. Angbo, Vixen here now, 2.8 watts per kilogram, as you can see. A category, 227 back, as you can see now. And not sure it's going to be an A categories race here today. They're going to have to really start to ramp things up in order to make this happen here. So, as we can see, the set from Revo, Pebblebrook as well. A few D category riders now just being caught. 243 beats, watts now. 146 here coming from Angmo. Interesting to see. Maybe a lower heart rate from this rider. And wondering if Daniela now 149, perhaps resting it up a little bit, waiting, knowing that, you know, we're going to make this catch. And that's when the questions start coming into a lot of the riders' heads. You know, is the catch going to be made? And if it is going to be made, what is the purpose of me doing any work here at this point? We'll have to wait and see if that's what's going on here with the riders now. So now from what we can see here, 1 minute between the B category and the Ds. The D category almost within sight. They're going to be a little ways up here at this point. We'll see if we can find them out on screen where they're at exactly. I have a feeling they're going to be right around the turnaround point at 180 degree. There it is, D category. Catton here now. Bagley, now it looks like Moss altogether. Gaudry, they've dropped off Kiwi Chick 17 seconds back with this Roman. So it's only 3 riders in this D category. They're going to have their work cut out for them, but it's not over just yet. They've got one climb in front of them. Turn around here, 180 degrees here in just a moment. So at 208 watts, you know, Catton here, these riders could still make it happen. The race is not over by any means. The B category, 108 behind. You can see the time gap there between the riders here now. Always cool to see out on Zwift. One of the cool things that you're able to work with as you're racing out on Zwift is those time gaps as well as the watts per kilogram that you're holding. Catton here, 3.1 on the front. Look at Grandland there, 3.3 in the riders nearby list. Annabelle Cox now 102 back now, as you can see. 45 at the bottom here, so maybe a little bit better time gaps at the bottom of the screen here. And with this lead group only a half a kilometer up from the riders here at this point. So hammering away still. McKay, AHDR taking over for those Bs. Now this D category with Gaudry. With that verified badge, we'll have to jump on in and see what ZwiftPower.com has to say about Gaudry. It looks like Gaudry actually not signed up though, I believe, over on ZwiftPower.com from what I can see right now. If you haven't done so already and you're wanting your results to update over on ZwiftPower.com, make sure to head on over to your Zwift. Zwift.com account. So head on over to Zwift.com, log into your account. You can see the third-party API, third-party sharing of your Zwift information. And that is how ZwiftPower.com grabs that information and pulls it over to ZwiftPower.com and then uses it for the results. So if you do that, you're going to be able to get into those results and share your information that you have about Zwift with the rest of the racing world here. So Kay Williams now still from that C category, hanging in with the Bs. Cool to see that this is not something that you see often, actually, with these events. The rider here able to hang on all the way to this moment, actually, and in this C category, may be able to pull off a win here, and for the C category, even after being caught. 23.8 at the bottom, as you can see, 23.8 for the B category there as well. It is only a 1/10 of a kilometer now separating the groups between those Ds, those lead Ds. 24.1 you can see for the leads, 24 seconds. The A category, 135 back. I think they're going to be right around that 180 turnaround on the red pavement there. Now they head on towards the past the palace there just a moment. they're going to be heading on toward the White Hall. Now back in with Smith. Now she's going to give us a shot here of what the gap is between the lead riders, 40 seconds or so. We'll see if they can shut this down as they head on toward the climb. I think the climb is going to demolish that gap in just a moment here. We'll have to wait and see, though, how that ends up playing out for the race here today. There is an event going to be starting in about 5 minutes. You still got less than 5 minutes actually for the Lamb Chop Series for the open race in just a moment, and it is absolutely packed. I'm currently looking at the D category. We've got 34 riders in there. We're also looking at the few of the other categories in here. It looks like over 300 riders, maybe even more, that have jumped into this race out here today. So you still got a couple of minutes. If your Zwift setup is ready to go, jump on and make sure you grab some water quick, maybe a gel or two, and get moving, because the race is about to start in that open category as well. And in that category, we've got some heavy hitters that have shown up on the day. It'll be cool to see how things end up playing out here in that race. Mike Schwartz from Dropouts actually showing up. Always good to see Dropout riders here. The Dropouts, Team Dropouts. It's such a great play on the riders' names actually in that team. But this is the current situation in this race for the ladies only. Catton, Gaudry now off the front. It is 2 riders taking over at the front here. It is only it looks like about a 29-second gap actually that they still need to close down. We're seeing 1 second between them on the distances at the bottom, but I think maybe a little bit, about 30 seconds difference between what that's saying and what is the reality of the race here currently. So, but it does look like race distance here now, 28 kilometers total what they're completing. They have completed for this front group about 25.2. So they're in the last few kilometers. Cat here going off the front here, dropping Gaudry now. 4 seconds back here. So there's a solo effort here, 23 seconds. This D category may be able to pull things off here. Are they? There will be a question, though, that might come in, though, within category limits or not. We'll have to wait and see if they are, as the riders are looking to finish up here in this D category now. So B category, BRT Hellcats 2.7. 2.7 I don't think is going to do it. They're going to have to really ramp things up here at this point to make this happen, as this rider here in this D category really putting the pressure on, as you can see. D category in the open race now, just about to take off out on course as well. So good to see so many riders jumping into that race now. But Catton here, this is the race for the women's now. Moss now closing it down. 1 second is the difference. So one rider in this D category not throwing in the towel. Always good to see a fight here from the riders now. And it looks like Moss almost back on terms with the front end of this race. Catton there still as well. Now, these 2 riders here, not registered over on ZwiftPower.com, but has jumped in for a great workout. Gaudry, though, 12 seconds back. McKay here from AHDR starting to open things up now, as you can see. AHDR, Jansen now from KRT as well, 12-second gap. Now it's going to come right to the line for this D category versus the Bs now. MJ there from Denmark, now 10 seconds back. It looks like 16.8. Well, that's all in miles there. Interesting to see. But Moss now, as you can see, 2.9, still leading things out. 9-second gap. Is she going to hang on to it now at this point? McKay now, HDR, 5.8 watts coming from her. Sun now trying to take over at the front, but I think this D category might be able to make things happen now. And Moss hanging on, it looks like, right to the line. A little bit of a kick here coming from Moss, and it doesn't look like the B category is going to be able to make it happen. Up and out of the saddle here, 500 watts here from S. Moss coming out of Australia, and it's going to be a D category win. MJ from the B category a little bit too late, as the orange numbers are popping behind, but it's going to be a D category win with Moss, followed up by Catton, out of Switzerland. MJ there for the B category, coming out of Denmark now, just coming across the line, it looks like, with Fuser on there across as well. So we are getting an update now, because some of the riders, though, that was the live images that we had there, but some of the riders there not signed up on ZwiftPower.com, so perhaps going to have a few changes. We do have a few results here just coming in with this B category, actually. And it does look like, according to the ZwiftPower.com results, Annabelle Cox perhaps coming across in first. No, excuse me here. Nowadays, it does update here. We're going to, these updates are going to be live as they were happening for the positions as they were coming through. I believe, though, for the finish coming across, so before we saw Annabelle leading things out, and that was the current that was out on course there, but it does look like it was Liwi Fierzan across the finish line in first place, followed up by MJ, 6 seconds back there. Then it's going to be a straight down Yella C. Scott there, followed by Nina Dowling. And then we are looking at Steph Clayton, followed up by Steve Ingmo, and then Sylvia Granlund from Revo. Ing Jansen from coming from that KISS Racing team, and then Annabelle Cox for the BRT Hellcats. So that's the situation here in that ladies only race for the Lamb Chop Racing here out on Zwift. So all B category throwing down and showing what they've got on the day. They did an amazing job, it looks like, to hammer away and close the gap down. The A category, unable to shut things down. They ended up about 56 seconds back, it looks like, between each of the riders there today. So let's go ahead and we're waiting for the official start. The start for the the D category has gotten out on course. Waiting for a couple of the feeds to come on through for the open race here. If you're unfamiliar with Lamb Chop Racing, let's go ahead and just have a little chat what this is all about. If Chop Racing out on Zwift, we've got 6 races in total for the race dates that was started last week, November 14th. It's going to be going all the way through December 19th. Handicap Racing. The European race times that will be broadcast, like you're seeing here, 7 p.m. GMT for the women's only, ladies only races, 7:45 GMT for the open to everyone races, and then North America times, it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the women only, and then 7:45 p.m. for the open to everyone. I might jump into that because that's not going to be broadcast. So Lamb Chop Racing is a handicap race. It's meaning that all the subgroups A, B, C, and D set off at different times. The winner is the first rider across the line, regardless of the subgroup. So regardless if you're in the D, the C, whatever it might be, that category can win out on course. The series is run in partnership with Black Sheep, which is, again, a cycling apparel brand out of Brisbane, Australia. There was a series that did run for the Southern Hemisphere. It was absolutely awesome. It was extremely popular. And you are able to grab one of these jerseys in game, actually, if you do participate in these races. So if you like the jerseys and you want to do it just for that, it's pretty awesome. This is the fun race series. It's all about community racing, all about everybody being able to race against every single level of riders out on course. We got about 6 seconds to the start of the C category as they are jumping out on course. And the C category is here, it looks like, and they're going to have a solid, looks like, head start over the other categories. It looks, according to our, let's go ahead and see if we can bring in our time gaps and stuff here for these categories, but it does look like the D's are jumped out on course, and then the C's, from what I can see here, here we are with, it looks like Pete Dickinson here, 192 beats per minute right now, as the C's are jumping out with 103 riders in this category right now. So solid group of riders here. You can see it really stretched out. Too stretched, actually, we're hearing from a couple of the riders. Sophie Coyne here giving a little bit of leadership. Always good to see the leadership out on course. We had ride leaders in the first series. It'd be cool to see if we can grab some ride leaders again. It does help having that beacon, the bacon, as AHDR, Aussie Hump Day Ride, and now the America's Hump Day Ride likes to say. Tim Searle, known as the Bacon, who led so many of those races. You know, we'll see if we can get some of those back out there. If we can also see if we can get Searle jumping back out onto the races. He may be out here this week. It's an early morning for him out there, but we'll see how that if he decides to jump out onto the racing out here. So this is we still have the races up for the distances from the last race. We'll go ahead and reload them and see if we can jump in with this race here. And here we go. Current situation with the D category, we are seeing 3.2 watts per kilogram for them. C category now, 343. They did get a 4-minute, looks like, head start there for those riders. So 0.6 kilometers now into the race for this C category. As Jay Evans here is hammering along now at a solid 242 watts now, 170 beats per minute. We're going to keep on moving on forward here. T room here now 3.9, as you can see in this C category, as they look to bring that D category back, as well as look to hold off the strong chasing A category that's going to be back out on course here in a few moments as well. Unfamiliar with handicap racing, every single one of these categories can win, and they're going to be looking to hold off the likes of the B and the A category. C category, as you can see in that last race, almost able to hold off the Bs or hang in with the Bs as they came on through in the ladies only race. But it was a B category win as they came through the finish. For those who were official out on course, there is still a little bit of community organization going on where they go through and make sure that everybody who's in the race ought to be in the category that they're in. If there is anybody who kind of goes a little bit over those category limits, there tends to be a little bit of change up in the results at the end of the day. But it's all about having fun here out on course. So D category in the salmon kit, we'll see if we can jump in with them in just a moment here, as they are going to be out on course here in just a few seconds. Here in with this B category is about to jump out on course as well. They're going to be riding along in the light blue kit, and then there's going to be the A categories in the white kit again. A grayish white kit, what we see out on course. So now moving forward here, see if we can jump in with the front end of the race here. The D-Cat should be making their way on over toward the main sections out on course here. Does look like we do have the B category, though, from one of our fees here. Ned Bowen here, good to see him coming on the USA. He's got a solid sprint. We've seen him using that over and over again in the races that we have been broadcasting. He looks like he's jumping out here. It's always good to see him. He's been very, very involved in the broadcast and the racing that we've been broadcasting. Bowen here, he's got a kick. If this is a rider who comes to the line, watch out for him. As Bowen here, steady here, 139 beats per minute. He may be even saving a little bit of something to the finish line, because this is a rider who can take the win if he does end up in that final sprint, actually. So Ned Bowen, seeing him in the World of Fusion races as well. In about 6:53 into their race so far out in this B category. 95 racers have shown up. According to ZwiftPower.com, the Ned Bowen has put in quite a few races out on Zwift, 172. He's a level 33 Zwifter. Last week in the Lamb Chop Series, it looks like he was able to take out a 4th place out on course, as they were on that TikTok course for 2 laps, 36 kilometers, a pretty flat course out there. It was Dan Aponik that took the win from the B category. It was a very interesting race, as the C category and the B category came to the line together. And Juanjo Ferez, one of those riders who has a kick, he has a serious kick riding for Zwift España team. He was up against Dan Aponik in that sprint, actually, Zone 5 Racing. Dan Aponik is riding for. Mark Westlake was also out there in last week's race for the B category with Stephen Chan, and then, as we said, Ned Bowen in 4th place. So watching these riders, I think Ned's going to be out here looking for a better result, but they got to catch those categories out on course to make it happen. They're 6:29 back here from the lead. They're about 3 minutes back from the C's. Jumping back in with that C category now, as they are making their way toward the 1K to go banner. They're going to be going underneath that banner quite a few times, as we are looking at the total laps on the day today are going to be 31 kilometers. We're out on the Greatest London Flat, actually, today for 1 lap. So a very different course, actually. They're going to be heading on over toward the reverse sprint here in just a moment through this section of the course, and then they're going to head on over to Box Hill, actually, over onto the escalator as well, and then back on over toward this section of the course for a finish. So it's going to be very interesting race actually out here today for the greatest London flat. A little bit of climbing, which really changes things up. You know, with a lot of the lamb chop races have been a little bit flatter of courses actually, and because of this, I think we may see an advantage to the B and the A category. You know, watts per kilogram are what matter when it comes down to climbing. And with that higher watts per kilogram and being on that, going on toward that Box Hill, you know, we're not going to be, it's going to be flat, all the flat sections of the course, but we're still going to have the reality of the escalator. You're heading on over towards some of that little bit of climbing, not all the way up Box Hill, but there still is a little bit of climbing as you leave, you know, those sections of the downtown London sections. So interesting to see here. Out on course here now on the taking on the classic route. There are going to be Greater London roads as well that were part of the January 2018 London expansion, actually. So heading past the Palace here again for that C category. Our row C now taking over toward the front. No splits just yet in this group here as they head on through the flatter sections. It's going to be the reverse that we saw though of the race just a moment ago. So completely reverse of this, of the last race that we're seeing as far as this section of the course, this classic section. Taking a right, and it's going to be a reverse sprint through the banner here in just a moment. They'll be taking a left-hand turn, I believe, on over toward the Greater London flat section. So cool to see the C category with Rusi, and then Chedron here from BZR, Taylor, Wettering toward the front, as well as Bernheim from NSCC early morning for the Australians and the New Zealanders. Now back in with the B category here. Now still looking at Bowen here, 142. Doesn't look like a whole lot of work going on toward the front. That D category is going to have their work cut out for them because they are absolutely hammering, it looks like, in this B category. The speeds are extremely high at this point. So interesting to see. As the riders are jumping out on course here. D category here, I believe it's going to be Jay Jones along with a few of the others. D Simpson there as well, looking to close things down. So solid efforts here coming on through for these riders in the D category. Summers is there, what I can see. So these efforts here coming from this, the D category, are going to have to be fairly high though, as that C category is just shutting things down. B category as well, 547 back here now. This is this difference between the C's and the B's. This is the B category, heading on through past the Palace. This is just a little ways back from this C category. We're seeing Rusi here in 23rd place or so. Now, pretty close in numbers here between the two categories, actually, out on course with 103 riders and on 95 riders in that B category. So with Gregorick here coming out of Savannah now, 3.0 watts per kilogram steady. 6.2 kilometers finished, 2 kilometers back at the bottom, as you can see. I believe the race distances here, it's going to be a little bit more than 20. I'm going to see if we can get an update on that, but I think the race distance here, we're looking actually at a total of, from what I can see, 31 kilometers actually for the race distance out here. It's going to be a difficult day, actually, I think, for the A's. Maybe not quite enough kilometers to work with to close things down. We'll have to wait and see with the 10-minute gap, actually. Usually we're looking at somewhere between 36 and 41, so a lot of firepower is going to have to be at the front end of the A race in order to make this juncture. Perhaps that's because the little bit of climbing that is out there, actually. We'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out, actually. But the C category is still hammering away here, 173 beats per minute. See if we can jump back in with a few of the others here. We are looking, it looks like, at the D category still. 47 riders that jumped into that category. They are doing amazing job here holding it together. We can jump in with them in just a moment here, but let's go ahead and jump back on over toward the Bs as Ned Bowen here still 3.3 watts per kilogram, 225 it looks like is the difference between them in that D category. 7.6 kilometers now in for the Cs though, only a kilometer and a half difference. I mean, this is getting shut down so quickly. Is there this C category, maybe again a favorite out there on the day? The B category is now 5.9, 525 back, and the A is now 830. They're doing a great job though in this A category, really bringing things back here, and we'll have to wait and see. They may be able to pull this off. I mean, this is a very quick shutdown. Already almost 2 minutes have been closed down actually for that A category. That is almost unheard of at the kind of paces that we're seeing, you know, in these chop races actually. So, you know, now with the number of riders too, also really does make a difference in these categories. If you got more numbers, more riders, makes a huge difference for the races actually, for the lamb chops. So as we look through the list here, I do believe we've got solid at least 50 plus riders actually in the A category as they're making a chase. And we've got Team Callis is showing up in force actually. Vidar Mail, Tom O'Kalan is out there, Morton Vane, Christian Oftedal, Dirk Seth is there as well. So solid racers coming from that Team Callis. Cryogen's out there with Simon Merritt, Kev Hacker, as well as Jason Fitzhugh. We're looking at Gavin Berry is there too, as well as Boyoung Chim. So a lot of heavy hitters there coming from some of the bigger teams out there. BRT, Bolt Racing Team, not ones to leave out. David Crawford, Graham McKenzie, as well as Michael Durr. Tom Gakes is there from the BRT team, and Richard Gannon. So they're going to be hammering away at the front of that A category, looking to shut things down too. But we're looking currently at the Cs now. Well organized as they took that left-hand turn onto the Greater London flat course here now. Looking toward the front end of the pack. We'll see what kind of watts per kilogram they're holding. Again, over category limits is what they're going to be looking to do. As you can see, Kirshner doing it right here at the US of A, taking a pole, jumping to 6 watts per kilogram there real quickly, and then backing off as he keeps the speed as high as possible. 171 beats per minute, as you can see here, coming from the riders now. 221 is the gap here from the lead group to this group here. Lead group with the D category. We'll see if we can jump. I'm looking at one of their feeds right now, and it does look like for that D category, Jones here with Hall, and then it looks like D Simpson as well as Buttery, Peanut Buttery here coming out of Great Britain. Hall now toward the front of the D category. They're doing a good job. 153, 150, 300 watts or so now, 312 watts here from that D category now. So solid effort here from a few of the Ds as they take over at the front. With a little bit over category push of the watts per kilogram. Summers there and TRCC. BZR is in there as well. So still working well together, but a little bit strung out in the D category as they look to make their way on over toward the turn that's going to be taking place toward the Box Hill. Back in with the B category though. Still hanging out with PK at the front here. 3.7 watts per kilogram. Ringshaw there, 6.598. Also in there as well as Valika. As these riders look to close down that gap to those Ds. Ds here, though, holding on to a steady 2 minutes. 10.4 kilometers in so far. They'll be taking this right-hand turn now in just a moment. Onto the Greater London Flat course, the expansion section of the course. They use some of the older London roads, but this is the expansion section that was able to open up this course actually for use as the Greatest London Flat course. It opened up a whole new section of flatter courses actually, or flatter section of road that was able to make this Greatest London Flat available with 31 kilometers for one lap actually. 31 kilometers for one lap. Now the A category obviously hammering along here at this point. 7:09 is the gap. They've brought back 3 minutes already with 8 kilometers. 3 minutes and 8 kilometers. We're looking at, if we do a little bit of math there, and not too hard a math to complete. 3 times 8, you're looking at 24. You know, we may be within 1 minute. If they continue at this pace, they may be within 1 minute of that D group within the next 24 kilometers. That will put them right on the edge of catching that D category. So if the math is done right, it might come down to the last 1 minute, actually, between these categories, between the A's and the D category out on course. A little bit of kick here coming from the likes of the B category. Feather power-ups. Power-ups are on. It is something that's pretty cool that they have in Zwift, and it's pretty great to have in these races because they're an extra resource to support the category that you're a part of. This B category, as you can see here, being supported by all the riders that are in it, and they are using those power-ups either to hang on or to boost the speed at the front end of their category here today. So Kirshner, we're looking at from the USA here, a little bit of split actually taking place in this C category as they catch a few of the D category riders. 203 to the front of the Ds, but I believe a few of those Ds did fall off pace. And now because this category is starting to really heat up their effort here, as you can see in this season. A little bit of split here. Interesting to see. 20th place here coming from Numela here now. Moving forward, it's going to be Coin coming out of Canada. And these riders obviously very motivated as we're seeing Carmelo Liet here coming out of Belgium with Shorno there toward the front there out of Germany. And another D category rider toward the front of the race here looking to be caught. And it's going to be Janoki here now coming out of Hungary. And then Sweden there being represented by JLF. McCoy here out of Canada. Keeping it steady, 3.5 watts per minute, 174 beats per minute. As we were saying earlier, everybody able to get an amazing workout in these chop races. At that 176 beats per minute currently, obviously right up against the threshold, usually for any rider. So regardless of the watts per kilogram, regardless of the category, everybody putting everything they've got on the line here to bring their category to the line in first place. 156 is the difference here currently between this C category and the D category. So it does look like we've got the A category here jumping out on course, making their way through a few of the sections as they are, I believe, about to head on toward from what I can see here, they are into the Greater London Flat sections here in just a moment. A couple of power-ups now. Greatest London Flat sections of the expansion here, as we see McQuaid here from Team Draft now hammering away. Dafford Williams from KRT is in there as well. A couple of splits though starting to happen, and it's interesting here to see as these riders here trying to hang on. And McQuaid, that is not a rider that you would usually see in any kind of a struggle, actually. Jim McQuaid now, Team Draft, the solo Team Draft rider, actually, that we're looking at out on course, riding out of North America, obviously. Level 50 Zwifter, 479 races, McQuaid actually out on Zwift. And hammering away recent results for him, MVW Winter Series, as well as the midweek criterium, a 4th place in both of those, actually. He's grabbed some podiums, though, recently. 3R Sand and Sequoias race, as well as the ZHR Hare and Hounds race. So we're back in with the B category. That was the A category. They've already split the distance here between themselves and the Ds at this point. They're going to have the work cut out for them up against the Bs, as the Bs, it looks like, are hammering away, keeping things steady here with our Auto here out of France. 4.1 watts per kilogram coming from him. Back in with the C's, though, as you can see, it is going to be Coin here now. 144 back from the lead group of the D's. It doesn't look like the D category are going to be able to hang on today. They're going to have to really start to ramp things up in order to make this happen, because it looks like there's just a reality that the speeds of these other groups are just too much to try and make this happen for them here today. But D category staying steady. At the front, it does look like it's going to be about 3.2 watts per kilogram coming from them at the front here. See if we can bring in some of the speeds in some of the later broadcasts to see what kind of differences between each of the categories and the speeds that they're doing out on course here. But this, as you can see, C category, Coin, steady here, 174 still. And that has been the story between each one of these categories. 168 here as we look at Auto here as well. hammering away. So obviously a lot of the riders here putting in a huge effort as they make their way around the course now. So looking through, we're going to see if we can bring in the D category here in just a moment. A few of our feeds, apologies on some of the feeds here, not able to be coming right on through. If we can do so, we'll be bringing them in just a second here for everybody to see. But a couple of the feeds look to be struggling just a little bit as we're bringing them in here. But C category looking to catch a few more of the Ds with coin here now, 2.8. Welding here now as well. It looks like Wetteridge here coming out of the Netherlands, making the way to the front. We'll stick with the C's here for now as we look through over at ZwiftPower.com what kind of efforts and who's putting in the brunt of the work in this category so far. And it looks like at the front end of the C's, they are right around, it looks like 3.2, 3.5 watts, becoming 3.3 here coming from Gareth Weldon, putting in the brunt of the work perhaps. Greg Agoric as well as Ian Verhey there as well. I think those are going to be your workhorses in this category so far, as they've been right up against those category limits. Looking at Gregoric here now out of Slovenia, 3.0 watts per kilogram as they're about 16.5 kilometers in so far for the race. Riding for Top Fit, Team Top Fit in Zwift. Level 32 Zwifter, 54 races out on Zwift, taking a second place recently in the Slovenia Zwift League Autumn Series, actually, for that C category. Interesting to see the team that they're riding for. It's always cool to see the teams that these racers are a part of and what they make out on Zwift, especially when they have localization or like a more of a local team that's being represented. That looks like what's happening here with Greg Agoric and their team coming out of Slovenia with Top Fit, because Domen Stanisa as well as Michal Rorvat, Tilan Gasperin, and then Rako Petrovic, all these riders all coming out of Slovenia there, riding for that Top Fit team actually. And most of them I believe also riding around that C category. Always cool to see some of these community teams that are getting organized and hammering away out on Zwift here to make their races as fun as they possibly can here. So now toward the front, just looks like the rider coming out of Switzerland will be Teru here now as they take that right-hand turn over the bridge and into the underground in just a moment. They're going to be taking the turn toward Box Hill for a little bit of extra flat course, and then they'll be making their way back on over toward the escalator here in just a moment to be leaving the underground for the second time as they head into it. So this is going to be a little bit of a kick and a little bit of a climbing out here on this course now. It's going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out and whether or not this category can hang on to the gap that they've held on to because of the climbing that is going to be added to the race here. A little bit different situation than usual for some of the chop racing actually, and it's most likely, as we were saying earlier, going to be favoring those A and B categories actually to shut down a huge amount of the gap. And that's most likely why we've been using this course out here today with the time gaps. The time gaps have been set at 10 minutes. It's a little bit less kilometers than we usually see, as we said earlier, but with it being a race with a little bit more climbing, it's probably going to even things out a little bit between that A-B category and the C-D category with how big the time gap is there. Not as much landscape to work with to close things down, but a little bit more climbing to work with here out on course. There's a little bit of a break now. The climbers are starting to show up in the D category. I'm seeing a break in one of our feeds here. Parker there as well as BO and then Hall all trying to hang on as they start heading into a little bit of the climbing here on the Box Hill left turn right now. So we're going to have to see if they're able to hold on to the gap that they're creating. It might not be in their favor, as Parker does have a 6-second gap actually in that category, in that D category right now. So one sole rider off the front. This is going to be an all-in effort here coming from the rider on the front, because he's still got well over 12K about 12K to work with actually between them. So interesting to see. Now in the C category though, as they head into some of the climbing here out on course, it's going to be Chadron BZR now taking over at the front, 170 beats per minute here. And this is going to be a little bit of an earlier chop within Chop Racing here, seeing who can hang on when it comes to climbing, because it is a long enough section of course that it's going to matter whether or not you can hold those watts per kilogram and not just sit in and take the pulls at the front, sit in and take the pulls at the front. It's going to have to be a steady high watts per kilogram effort actually in this C category in order to hang on with that pack. And, you know, the reality is if they hold back at all, that A category, that B category, they're not going to be doing so. They're going to be putting everything they can into the pedals. So at a certain point, it's not going to be about sticking together, especially on these sections of the course that have a little bit extra up and down. It's going to be about dropping off anybody who cannot hold those speeds. There is there is the reality of how long is that climb, and maybe keeping a couple of the riders with you. I mean, if they whittled this down to like 4 or 5 riders, might not be at their advantage. Keeping 10 to 15, keeping those speeds as high as they possibly can because of the larger group. You do have the swelling nature of the packs. You know, they swell and then they increase the speed. That just continues to couple on top of itself because of the avatar speed heading downhill and through different sections of the course. So dropping too many riders, not in your favor, but there is the reality of holding on to too many, though, at the same time. Maybe not going to be in the category's favor as well. 2-second gap back here to the American rider Kirshner. Maybe just caught out, as you can see here. We'll be able to see the gap between this group and the chase group and the main C group in just a second. Does flatten out here in a second. Does look like a few of these riders now giving a little bit of kick to get back on terms. Kirshner now found himself out the back again. The speed's now not really working out too well for Kirshner here as he looks to jump back on. He was putting out a solid effort there, but he rested maybe at the wrong moment, and it's still about speed of the avatars. Back into 4% uphill gradient now, as you can see. All back together, 28, 30-ish riders now making this lead group. Bernheim jumping back on, Turo there as well. Luke J here in real life, in Ireland, coming out of Ireland there. So it does look like maybe 34-ish riders here at the front. Now at the front, though, they are really starting to push the pedals. Now it looks like in this C category with one of the riders, they're actually using a feather power up to increase the speed. I believe that is going to be Isaac here now coming out of Sweden. Wetterings here now out of Netherlands. Again, Rusi taking over at the front in this C category, trying to make the chase down as the gap is still down to 49 seconds. 49 seconds between these categories, 19.9 kilometers in. They've got about 11 kilometers to go. B category on the chase here at this point, looking to bring things back. We'll have to wait and see if they can do so. This is really starting to ramp up here now, though, as you can see, as the A category only 3:16 back, and I believe the A category is just going to be heading in to those sections of the course that are going to matter here for the race now. B category now with Sandvik here coming out of Norway, taking over toward the front, 4.8 watts per kilogram. Junior JR from Dirt there as well. At from what we can see, 5 watts per kilogram over almost at the front, starting to pick up some of the stragglers from that C category. 137 back though from the front, about a little less than a minute though between them and the C category at 42 seconds back for that C. 137 back for the B category. A category only about a minute and a half behind this group. So really well timed here between all the categories. We'll see how it's going to play out here in just a moment as they're heading into the final 10K of this race here today. So B category Sandvik here now. I'll stop there from Raw Sport now. Sandvik now taking over toward the front here. 3.2 watts per 341 watts right now here coming from this rider. Steady here in the B category. Almost 415 watts now. Really starting to drive the pace. Bringing that speed as high as they possibly can. They almost can see the B category within their sights now as they head through this section of the course. And they're going to be heading the D category already on the downhill. C category now going to be heading in just a moment on over toward the escalator 2 as well. 35 seconds back from that lead D category here. And that's most likely going to be one of the sections where the catch is going to be made. Toward the front, it's going to be D Moody here, as you can see. Left-hand turn on over toward the escalator now, and it's going to be a right into the extreme climb. It's like a 15% gradient, actually, for those riders. And the D category are just heading into it here. A little bit choppy here, but you'll be able to see where they're at. This is the D category. They're heading into the escalator here, but this is the C category. They're about to have them within their sights. They're right around the corner here. And Gregorick here now trying to take over. They know that they are about to make the catch. Now, the question is whether or not they are going to back off once that catch is made, because they still have the B's and the A's chasing them down. And at this point, I wouldn't be so worried about the D category. They're going to catch them, it looks like, here out on course with a lot of racing left to go. You know, there's about 8 kilometers or so of racing still here. And Shono here now, Isaac, O'Reilly, all really starting to ramp up. Oh, we've got some orange numbers here. This may be a chop moment here where the breaks are going to happen. BM Pro here with Krupp here as he comes over the top at about 8 watts per kilometer, 170 beats per minute. Look at it starting to really stretch out between the riders. 4 riders now off them in the break here. Krupp now 3.2 watts per kilometer. Cordery now as well for Strava Art now. And it's going to be a 1 cog. Johnson now trying to jump back on terms. 2 seconds back is the gap here. I think this is all going to come back together as we look at the perspective here of Chadron. Where is that D category? Off in the distance, I believe you see them just turning the corner just off of the bridge here in just a moment. And the catch is about to be made, actually, between this category and the leaders now. So C category, going to be the virtual leaders out on course in just a moment. Solid efforts here. Chadron here, 3.4 watts per kilogram so far for the duration of the race. Bert Carmelet here, BZR team as well. So BZR here out on course, really showing what they've got. Again, Gregorick there for Top Fit, BM Pro there as well. We're seeing Team NL as well for Wetteridge here for Team Netherlands now, all in this C category, showing what they've got to try and chase down those D category riders. It looks like the difference here, 21 seconds, are about to come through the Prudential Ride London banner in just a moment. And as they do so, they're going to have about, I believe it is 7 kilometers to go to the finish line. So looking through here, and it looks like C category have a little bit of a split going on. 3 seconds back after that escalator climb. We'll have to wait and see if they're able to hold on to the finish with these riders that are trying to jump back on. You know, some of these riders maybe not have the watts per kilogram for the climbs, but they could have more of a pure wattage situation. And being on a flat course, pure watts are what matter a lot of times. They're through the climbing sections, so not going to be as much of a bother for them through those sections, and maybe be able to hang on here. Maybe again, a CD category race. It does look like, as we look forward here from the first person point of view from Wetteridge, the D category should just be ahead here. From what we can see, not in the feed right this second, but the they are only, I believe, about 10 to 20 seconds up from them at this point. You can see the distance is less than a tenth of a kilometer here between the C categories and the D's now. So D category situation right now, about to be caught. We can see in the background the riders here just a little ways back for this D category. They see them within their sights right now. The C category just about to make the catch. There they are. They're off in the distance. We were waiting for them to be in sights, because now it's really going to increase that motivation. And Charge Run from BZR here just taking over now at this point on that Zwift original bike, actually a Zwift OG bike, as you can see. A's are coming. We're hearing from Jonathan Roberts. So Roberts here saying, let's get it moving in this race here. So the B category here now really trying to hold off that A category. They're only they've held on to this 1 minute gap though here at this point. Ned Bowen here. Now we're looking at James Porter now as well, as they're heading through on over toward their next section of the course here that is going to be along the river, and then a right-hand turn into Whitehall. So they've almost got the C category actually within their sights. So interesting to see. Looking through here, this is the C category. We're looking at their first-person point of view, and they can see the Ds. But if you look over the shoulder of the if you look over the shoulder of this category as well, you can see that the B category are just around the corner. So it's, again, all coming together. 30 seconds difference. It looks like that is the distance, actually, 30 seconds. Right around that 0.1 kilometers where they start to get within sights, actually. So C category here, as you can see, are about to catch those Ds. There they are, just ahead, out on course, as they're going to make this catch here, it looks like. And looks like Gassman here now, coming out of Germany. Steady, 2.3, 170 beats per minute now. Now toward the front again, Chadron, he has been the workhorse, I think. Actually, no, now Wetterange now. It looks like Chadron from the BCR team now backing off. There's that D category. It's only a race of meters here at this point. There's going to be a right-hand turn into a little bit of a climb. Not sure much more can happen here for this D category to hold off the likes of the C's here. So it's going to be said and done, I think, here in just a moment for that category. Maybe be able to hang on, but the real question is, with this catch, will they be able to hold off these boys as they're on the exact same section of course now? Udine coming from AHDR now. C category, though, with an attack as they catch those Ds. Look at this, going right on through. Chadron saying, nope, not going to hang on. We're not letting anybody come with us. We see the B category now making the catch here as well. Can we cause some confusion? Because that might be the only hope for the rest of the C's, is to cause that confusion, to make sure that as the B's come through, the rest of those riders, perhaps maybe they can hold off a few seconds, and that may matter at the end of the day. Because if they do not break this pack quickly and force that B category, as you can see the Tron bikes in the distance there, see the color coming on and behind from this pack of C and D category riders as the Bs look to close down that 10 seconds. It's going to be a right-hand turn now in just a moment. The A's only 40 seconds back now as this is coming right down to the wire, actually. We're going to head on over to the classic course for a sprint here in just a moment. And D's are all together with the C's. The B category is only 10 seconds back, and this is the best of chop racing when it comes right down to the line now. And it's 26.8 in, and we're about 3 kilometers from the finish line. Chadron now starting to ramp it up for that C category. 6.6 watts per kilogram coming from him. We're seeing a feather power up, actually, really trying to drive the pace. He wants to create a breakaway situation for the strongest of the C's to not be caught by that B category. The B category here comes the B's now. Lots of feather power ups coming from them. We are seeing, it looks like, Otto here toward the front here of this with the feather power up as well. 8 seconds is the gap between them and the lead here at this point. Now it's going to be Ned Bowen taking over. They're catching some of those riders. This is what I was talking about. Going through these D category riders, it could cause some confusion. The back end of the C's, they're going to make the catch on them for a second. But Chadron, he has made the break here at this point. The left-hand turn onto the flat sections of the classic course on the reverse here now. Chadron now hammering away, 3.2 watts per kilogram coming from this rider. Now Schonhoff coming out of Germany taking over here. The C category not giving up the ghost just yet. Here come the Bs. It's going to be about hanging on because Bowen here now, along with PK, this is the catch. You saw it from the other camera angle. Here's the other camera. There goes PK going right on through Chadron. 13 seconds back to the Ds as the C's take over here now. B category, virtual leaders out on course. 33 seconds back to the A's, though. We're about to see some gray jerseys in the scene in a few moments. Will they make the catch is the question for the day. Well, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it happen here as this B and C category is flying along. 400 watts here currently coming from PK now, as you can see. They're really going to start to ramp up the effort as they know this A category is on fire. 22 seconds back here. It is only a tenth of a kilometer between the A's and this category here. We're going to see if we can pull in the feeds, though. I'm not sure we're going to be able to bring it in here with the B category and the C category. For some reason on the day here, the categories are not quite able to see each other. So we'll see if we can change things up for you here a little bit, but we may be stuck. And that would be quite a shame if we are stuck within these categories here with these camera angles. But we'll see if we can change things up for everybody here a little bit. It does look like this C category where Shono able to hang on toward the front end of this race. Now the B category here taking over to the front. It is the winner from last week, I think. coming on through Aponic here now. Ellis here from Team Dirt now taking over to one. And Bonehill is here as well. Rawsporthere.com now. Getting a little bit of a shout out for their website as they're making their way toward the front. It's about to be a 180-degree turn into the finish line. I believe we see in the background there, it is going to be the riders there in the A category about to make their catch. There's a group behind here. I'm not positive it's the A category. It's a 17-second gap according to the race here right now. I do have, it looks like Bowen here now. Interesting to see. I was able to bring him up actually just a moment ago in the this other feed. And here it is actually. This is the A category. We were able to find them out on course here for just a moment. Without some of the riders nearby, actually. Just happen to have it up on another feed. Now, this is the C category, able to hang on, but I think the A is here, about to make the catch here, as we are seeing that 17-second gap falling quickly now. Here's the B category, though, about to make a 180-degree turn now, as you can see. C category still hanging in with them as we see a mixture of light blue and black kits. Where's that A category? They're right around, there they are, right around the corner actually. Will the catch be made? I'm hoping the B category holds it off here, mainly just for the reality of the broadcast situation here, because we may have a situation where the feeds are not fully coming on through. We'll see what we can make happen here now, because we've got the B category ramping things up. We've got a power up being blown now. Now it's going to be Byers here now for TFC. 11 watts per kilogram covering him. Casanova here as well. A category's got to make the move right now. They're still, it looks like 21 seconds back, but Byers from TMC with a very early attack here, trying to make sure that the A category at least does not make the catch. 20 seconds back, no, 14 seconds back for the A's. It looks like the B's are going to be able to pull it off here today. Byers, PK, 9 watts per kilogram. It's a 1 second gap, but how long can TFC hold on for? Byers still holding on. It looks like maybe right to the line. 195 beats a minute here. He's got the 1 second gap seal, but here comes Glassnap. Dirt, Team Dirt. Dad's inside riding trainers at 11 watts per kilogram. It's Glassnap from the Dirt team. Looks like he's going to take it down. And the B category able to make it happen today, just barely. In another feed, Brett Boniface here. Now I can see leading out the A category, just coming across the line, and it was a solid kick here from Boniface there, just a little ways behind in that A category. What a result there, though, for the Bs, pulling it off again. Amazing result there, and here's those results there. Nick Glassnap from the Dirt team here, a full half a second. We were talking about Ned Bowen being one to watch out for. He showed up again. Last week it was 4th place. This week with the 2nd. Ivar Berget coming across the line for the Dirt team. Dirt showing up on the day. Nick Glassnip, nice job to him, though, with that 1st place. And that was a well-timed kick to get that gap there over the rest of the pack there. It does look like Sandvik, who put in a lot of work early on, actually, to make that catch in the C category. Shout out to Gary Cordery for Team Pack there, hanging in amongst the Bs, even after being caught, and making it across the line for 5th place in the overall there amongst that B category. Ash Prestor is there for Raw Sport there, coming across the line, followed by Dustin Byers for TFC. Byers, what an effort there. He went from about, I would say, half a K out, 500 meters or so, almost held on, but then was caught by a hard charging pack. He used that aero power up almost perfectly. A little bit later, maybe, perhaps. Matt James for CCR coming across for 8th. Ramonas Valeka coming across for Velocity, and then it's going to be Rafael Otto for Team France coming across the line in 10th place. Again, Lamb Chop Racing. That's what's happening here out on Zwift, and it's a 6-race series here. If you're unfamiliar with it and you're just tuning in, you can do some Lamb Chop Racing. Anybody can win. D category, B category, C category, A category. Any of the categories can win because of the time gaps that are awarded to them out. It's the first across the line, regardless of the category. There's just a difference between when they start. And each of the categories chasing each other, team time trials type style. But then the chop happens about when the catches are going to be made and who's going to sprint it to the line. We just saw the B category take it down. Solid effort with the B category. And then when the chop ended up, it was Nick Glassnap who broke away and got the better of the rest of his B category. Again, the race dates from November 14th all the way through December 19th. That is every Thursday. We're going to be doing these European race times, 7 p.m. GMT, and that's the Lamb Chop women's only. If you want to jump into the women's only race for women out there, if you want to jump into the open to everyone mixed race, 7:45 GMT. Now, later tonight, there is a North America's race if you want to jump into it. It will not be broadcast, but that is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Lamb Chop women only, and 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time for the open to everyone. Again, all categories can win. It's all about having fun for everybody out there out on Zwift. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that follow button wherever you might be watching these Zwift broadcasts on Zwift Live. We also still have our broadcast over on Zwift Community Live. We're currently focused in on Tuesday races with the World of Fusion. A lot more is coming down the line, so make sure to head on over there for some more racing as well. Thanks, everybody, tuning in. And as always, I'm Nathan Guerra here for you and these broadcasts. I hope to see you next week, Tuesday. And as always, right on.